Two.
Hi, this is Scott Peterson. I am the manager for media relations for the Montgomery County Executive Marc Elrich, and thank you for joining us on Marc Elrich's weekly media briefing. I'm filling in for Lorna Bagili again this week. I also want to welcome our guests from DHHS, Mario Warazin, and also from the State's Attorney Office, Debbie Feinstein, who will be joining Mark today to talk about odor abuse. Mark, before we begin, I just wanted to say that I had such a wonderful morning, really early this morning, with our Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation at their Sweet Release Bakery at the Neville Street, where NBC4 came out and did live hits this morning. And so I just wanted to note this for you because I know this bakery's a very big deal to you. So thanks again for all the work that you did. This program is really incredible, and I'm glad that we were able to highlight it this morning.
Did you bake anything?
I did not. No, they wouldn't trust me to do that.
Huh, okay.
But
Even
but
I
thanks
trust you
again. It
to do
was a
that.
wonderful morning.
All right. Well, look, thanks for being with us again this week, everybody. And Scott, thank you for highlighting the bakery program at the Clarksburg Jail. It's one of my favorite programs. It's encouraging when Sweet Release receives media coverage that recognizes the opportunities that it provides for incarcerated individuals, including essential training and employment prospects. I was not pleased when we had to shutter this program during the difficult budget years of the Great Recession. And reopening this bakery was a top priority for me when I got elected as county executive. I appreciate the work of the Department of Corrections Director, Ben Stevenson, and his staff for all the efforts they made to get this back up and open, and also for all the different workforce education and training programs that they provide to those people who are currently incarcerated. I also want to thank the County Council for supporting the continued funding of this program. But more importantly, I really appreciate all the business, the companies and the organizations that are willing to employ people who may have made a mistake in the past. It's well known that the stigma of being an ex-felon is such that it's a significant barrier to employment, and that recidivism becomes possible. It is, pretty easy to imagine if the person cannot find the job and if they're turned down because of, something they did in their past, they may resort to the only things they know, which may be the illegal things. And it's important that we have pathways for people back into society if we really want them and expect them to reenter society. So this program is something that makes a difference in people's lives, and I'm really excited about it. It demonstrates that by investing in people while they're in our care, we can help them avoid returning into the justice system, which is what all this is about. On another note, next week on Wednesday, June 17th, Montgomery County will join communities around the world in recognizing World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. It's a serious subject that doesn't get enough attention, but affects real families across the county. Elder abuse isn't always something you can see. It can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be someone that's taken advantage of an older person financially or neglecting them. It also can include someone not getting the life care or contact that they need. And a lot of time, the person experiencing it doesn't feel they can speak up or doesn't know where to turn. We have adult protective services teams, social workers, community partners, and the state's attorney's office all working together on this. But honestly, a lot of this comes down to neighbors paying attention to neighbors. So there are some signs you should watch for. Someone who's acting more withdrawn than usual. Try to open them up. Confused about their finances. Somebody who, is expressing confusion or indicates confusion about, their finances, bill paying, things like that. People who are struggling with things they used to handle fine, and someone who's suddenly uncomfortable around whoever is caring for them. Your instincts are worth trusting. Remember, you don't have to be certain something's wrong to make a call. That's what our services are there for. If something doesn't feel right, call 240-777-3000 or go to montgomerycountymd.gov/senior. One phone call can make a real difference in someone's life. As I mentioned, we have these teams looking into cases like these to ensure the safety of those who may not be able to easily speak for themselves. And I'm happy to have a guest today who can share more about our county's efforts to protect these vulnerable adults. Mario Mazarzin is a senior administrator for assessment within the Adult Protective Services and Care Management, which is our Department of Health and Human Services. So Mario, thank you um, for being here.
Sure thing. Thank you, Mr. Elrich. All right, well, I guess I'll get started then. So, you did a terrific job outlining why this is important, an important topic. And at the Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services, we actually have three Adult Protective Service investigation teams comprised of licensed social workers and a couple of nurses. What is elder abuse? In general, it's refers to an intentional or neglectful act by a caregiver or trusted individual that leads to or might lead to harm of a vulnerable adult. The majority of our cases are older adults, but we also, in the state of Maryland, Montgomery County, will work with folks or adults 18 and older if they have some type of a disability, functional or cognitive. And elder abuse can really occur anywhere in the community, in a home, in nursing home, institutions, in a restaurant. It affects seniors across all socioeconomic groups, cultures, and races. And some of the risk factors would be someone living alone. If they've lost a spouse or a partner, if they had children, if they moved away, um, and as they get older, there's a higher chance of things like that happening if they're not engaged any further with their either local faith community or their local rec department. If there's dementia, if there's mental health issues with that individual, or if there's a caregiver, son or daughter, or a hired caregiver that has mental health issues or substance abuse issues, those put persons at a higher risk of being abused. And in the state of Maryland, what we consider abuse is physical or sexual abuse, neglect by that caregiver, financial exploitation, which includes a family member or someone that's in a caregiver role taking advantage of funds of that individual, not using them for their own care, but for their benefit. That's exploitation. Of course, we have um, crypto crime and scams. Everyone's affected by that, but folks who are less savvy on the internet are perhaps more at risk. If you're lonely, that puts you at risk for things like romance scams. So this is what elder abuse is. Thank you for noting that to reach Adult Protective Services if you suspect something is not quite right, if you're viewing a neighbor or a friend, a family member that is becoming isolated, they're not caught up with the bills, if they're not getting the care that they need, they're not getting to the doctors and so forth, give us a call. We have professionals that'll do the screening. We'll make a determination if that warrants an assessment or investigation. And I do lastly want to note that we really value our partnership. We take on a collaborative approach in Montgomery County. We have a strong relationship with law enforcement, our state attorney's office. And I just always applaud Debbie Feinstein, who is our chair of the Montgomery County Elder Vulnerable Adult Abuse Task Force. And so we work together as a team to assist our older adults in the community.
Thank you. I really appreciate the work you do. And I've been to these, I know we do this event at Holiday Park every year. And it's really important. It fills the audience every time they do it. So getting that word out there and doing this is really important to help keep people safe. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank everybody else who works with you over there.
And I would just add that this year the event will actually be at the Schweinhaus Senior Center in Silver Spring, and it's going to be next Wednesday at 10 a.m. And as Mario had said, we do take a collaborative approach, and this is a joint effort by my office, the state's attorney's office, John McCarthy, the state's attorney, by law enforcement, including our colleagues at Montgomery County, the police department, Office of Consumer Protection, Adult Protective Services, the county attorney's office. As Mario said, we really make a joint effort in Montgomery County to try and fight elder abuse, and in my office, particularly to hold offenders accountable for committing crimes, whether they be financial, physical, or sexual, or neglectful, as a way to try to protect our older adults in Montgomery County.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for that information. I have a quick question. Can you talk to the amount of incidents? How often do incidents of elder abuse occur roughly in our county?
Sure, sure. Well, nationally, I will say that literature notes that 1 in 10 older adults will be maltreated annually. And with a county population of folks 60 and older, approximately 24% of our county, that's quite a few incidents. And this is a phenomenon that is not always reported. It's very unusual, if not rare, that the individual themselves victimized makes that call. So we really do rely on community members, family, professionals. There are mandated reporters in the state, law enforcement, human service professionals, medical professionals, and financial institutions. But truly, we hope that our neighbors would make the call that to 240-777-3000. You're anonymous. You're an anonymous reporter. We respect that greatly. Some folks don't want their relationship hampered by making that call. And so I hope that answers your question,
No
Scott.
problem. I just want to pause for any questions from the media about this issue, elder abuse. Please raise your hand. Happy to call on you. No questions, no interest. So from the media, well, again, such an important issue. Want to thank you for spending your time today. And then obviously, if I get any follow-up or other media inquiries, Peter Sinclair or myself or Lauren DeMarco in the state's attorney's office are always happy to make sure that we work with you all to get this message out. So good luck with your event next week. And I hope that we can continue to work together to make sure that these numbers reduce.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much for
Scott.
the opportunity to talk about this topic today.
Thank you. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you very much, both of you. Um, so we had new beginnings for apartments in Bethesda, and this Tuesday morning marked a real milestone in our work to preserve affordable housing in Montgomery County. I want people to understand why this matters. We used our updated right of first refusal law for the first time. It is a law that I worked with the council to strengthen in 2024 because it gives the county the ability to step in when an affordable property goes up for sale and assign our purchase rights to a qualified developer. This prevents an existing building from being demolished to make way for luxury housing. And this is a perfect example of that. This was a nice little two-story buildings, and they would have been redeveloped, and the people who lived there would have been removed, and a fraction of the housing that's affordable would have been replaced, and it would have been a net loss. And this is kind of the work that Park and Planning has been doing. And so I was really glad that we were able to step in and prevent the loss of this building. Um, it's really, I think, important. We worked with Yoke Management Partners. We preserved naturally occurring affordable units across two properties, Tilbury Gardens in Bethesda and Argyle Street Apartments in Rockville. Now, 52 units won't be torn down and replaced with high-priced new developments. 24 of these units will be restricted to lower-income households. The people who live at Tilbury and Argyle can now stay in downtown Bethesda and Rockville, even though they seemed at real risk of being displaced from their homes, neighborhoods, and their kids' schools. That's why the law's doing what it's supposed to do, and it's why the law is important. Housing in places like downtown Bethesda don't stay affordable on their own. The market pressure is enormous. We've seen what happens before. Units like these become higher end rentals, and the people who are living there were priced out. Now, with the strengthened right of first refusal law, we've intervened and it worked. I want to thank everyone who pushed to make this happen, including the residents themselves who advocated for their own homes, and that really matters. I also want to thank Scott Bruton, my housing director, and his team at the Department of Housing and Community Affairs, who worked hard to make the new law a reality. This fiscal year alone, we're going to preserve over 913 affordable units across the county, and the year's not over yet. We're proving that with the right tools and right partners, we can keep our communities stable and inclusive for everyone. 24 affordable units isn't the whole problem solved, but this means that our residents can stay in their community, and that's well worth celebrating. So I was really happy to be there, had a chance to talk with the residents and grab a bite to eat with them, and a lot of very happy people and a lot of people who are really proud of what they did. They were very active in getting this deal done. So active that the first time that they attempted to buy the property. The process, they weren't able to get it completed in the time they needed. And so it appeared they were going to lose the opportunity. But when that deal fell through, because they were prepared, they were able to go in the second time and make a successful bid and get the property. And I just think that's a testimony to their tenacity, staying on top of it and being determined if they got the chance to get this, because they saw how much it was going to change their lives. And it was really good to listen to them talk about how important this was to them. Um, in other news, we are going to have red line construction, and the impacts are going to begin on July 6th. We're a few weeks away from some very significant changes for drivers along 355 due to construction along the red line. Starting July 6th and running through September 6th, Metro is Metro is shutting down the red line service between North Bethesda and Friendship Heights. No trains between those two stations for 2 months. That's going to be a real disruption for all commuters, and I want people to be prepared for this. So here's what's being put in place to help. There will be free shuttle buses will replace train service at the Grosvenor Strathmore Station, Medical Center Station, and the Bethesda stations. Nearly 8 miles of dedicated bus lanes are being added to stretches of Rockville Pike, and local shuttles should run about 10 minutes between stops. And express shuttles between North Bethesda and Friendship Heights are estimated at around 26 minutes. The state has begun striping along Maryland 355 for bus lanes, and signage will be placed and bagged in the next week or so. However, those bus-only lanes won't be effective until the shuttle service actually begins on Monday, July 6th. So you still have a couple more weeks when you can use those lanes, even though they say bus lane right now. On July 6th, you can't. Once the shuttles begin, please stay out of the bus lanes except to make turns. The free shuttle buses will run every 5 to 8 minutes during the Metro Rail operating hours. Free parking will be available at North Bethesda and Grosvenor Metro stations. This bus-only project for MD 355 is being led by the Maryland State Highway Administration and is being done in coordination with WMATA and MCDOT. Transportation leaders will be monitoring the impact of the bus-only lanes. Adjustments will be made as needed. Please share the graphics developed by the state so more people can be aware of what's coming, and so they can see where they can expect the bus-only lanes. On Monday afternoon, I will participate in a more information can be found at WMATA's website, or you can search a 2026 Metro Red Line Summer to find information. And next news, I see a ride-on bus, and this is the county's 250th anniversary ride-on bus. Montgomery County is proud of its roots as a revolutionary community, and we're sharing that pride this summer. The commemorative bus features imagery and themes from Montgomery County's past and present, also features the word welcome in multiple languages to reflect the word welcoming community, and is one of the most diverse communities in the country. We recognize that diversity is actually a strength. Montgomery County is named after General Richard Montgomery, a hero of the Revolutionary War, killed while fighting for the Continental Army in Quebec. It was the first effort to take Quebec, or Canada, apparently. As we near this significant milestone in both our national and local history, we have a wonderful chance to deepen our collective appreciation for it. I encourage everyone to learn more about the history of our county at montgomerycountymd.gov/Montgomery-250. You can also go through the county's timeline and learn about important upcoming events that will help us celebrate 250 years as a county. On Friday, July 3rd, we'll be hosting Montgomery 250 at Shine Together at Newport Mill Park next to Einstein High School in Kensington. The fireworks there will start about 7 p.m. with music. And so keep an eye out for our 3 buses with the anniversary artwork and learn more about the deep history of our county. And tomorrow is the first day of World Cup, and the excitement is already building here. This is really a worldwide event, and in the county as diverse as ours, you can find people rooting for teams from all over the globe. A survey of more than 21,000 Americans done just a few days ago found that nearly twice as many people believe the games will bring countries closer together rather than push them apart. That's a hopeful thought. At a time when there's so much division in the world, there needs to be something special about a celebration of a worldwide sport that can bring us together. For a lot of us, this is also a time to celebrate. And whether you call it soccer or football, we want you to be safe. So if you're going to celebrate with a drink or two or more, please make a plan to get home safely, whether that's a designated driver, a ride home, or just staying put. Our police officers are going to be stepping up enforcement during the celebrations to help keep our communities safe. So don't risk it. A first time offense on a DUI in Maryland carries a fine of up to $1,000 and up to a year behind bars. It's not worth it when you can just hop on a fare free bus and get a ride home. Ride On is now zero fare for every rider, so grab your friends, ride together, and cheer with more fans. Download the Ride On Trip Planner app to map your trip and to see when the next bus is coming. A simple way to plan a safe return home. And while you're at it, celebrate local. Check out Visit Montgomery's calendar of events to find the neighborhood spot showing the games, a restaurant, bar, or coffee shop near you. Supporting our local businesses is a great way to get together as a community while you enjoy the matches. The closest games may be up in Philadelphia, but I expect to see our local spots filling up with fans all month long. We can call Montgomery County home, but all of us have roots elsewhere. Many of us have roots elsewhere. Keep that in mind as you catch the World Cup fever right alongside your friends and neighbors. Before we open it up to questions, I'd like to give my staff an opportunity to share any updates before we start. And so I'll begin with the health team.
Good afternoon, Mr. County Executive. I also want to compliment our Aging and Disability Services area. Mario, great job and all the work that you do to protect our seniors in the community. We are an age-friendly Montgomery community for the past 10 years. There's also the number that you provided, the 240-777-3000 number to report elder abuse, but there's also mental health challenges associated with any type of abuse. And again, the Department of Health and Human Services is always here to help and to listen. There's a 988 number if you'd like to reach out and send us a message via text so that we could chat. Or if you would like to reach out and talk to someone, there's another 777-3000 number, or 4000 number, I should say, for that number. Now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Kimberly Townsend, who is our Senior Program Administrator for our Public Health Services Communicable Disease area, and she will provide the public health update for today. Kimberly.
Well, thank you, Dr. Bridgers. Good afternoon, everyone. There are no public health services updates for this week. And so thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. I'll turn it back over to you, Scott.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Any questions from the media about any other issues, subjects? Aaron from the Banner, thank you for joining us today for your first media briefing. Marc Aaron is a new addition to the Banner this summer, so that's who's on there. But Shioli or Judy, any questions about any issues? You can put up your hands, or you can just go ahead and speak up.
I see Christina.
Yeah, go ahead, Christina.
Hi, good morning. Good
morning.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Mr. Elrich, you mentioned security during the World Cup weeks. What is, if you can give us a little bit of what is the, plan? How many officers are going to be in Montgomery County? What are the maybe checkpoints?
Nothing changes with officers. Same number of officers. They'll just be more vigilant in their enforcement. If we had checkpoints, they don't usually tell you where the checkpoints are. You get to discover that while you're driving. So that's why you should not take the chance that you're going to be driving along and find yourself coming on a checkpoint.
Thank you.
A good message to tell your readers. You're not going to be able to predict where to go.
Yes, and then the Montgomery County, the county is going to have spaces where people can watch the games in a public
Well,
setting.
the county won't so much have. There's plenty of bars and restaurants that are going to have spaces to watch the games. So the county doesn't provide spaces for that, but all the various places people can go to in the county for entertainment and stuff are going to have games playing.
Uh, Christina, there is one watch party that we are working on for the final of the World Cup. That if you want, contact me or Lorna, and we can also coordinate with Luisa Cardona to talk to you about this. If you would like a follow up on that particular watch party. But that would be just for the final game. So there won't be there's no regular watch parties that are occurring because it's quite frankly it's very um, difficult in terms of like getting the right rights in terms of showing the World Cup, and quite frankly, you know, again, addressing it that way. But we are working on one for the final event, and we can happily just follow up with you on those plans.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Any other questions? Please feel free to raise your hands on any other issues. All
I
right.
have a question about the
Go ahead, Aaron. Hi, Aaron.
250th
Nice to meet
anniversary.
you.
Hi. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I have a question about the 250th anniversary for the county. Could you just describe what the timeline has looked like and will continue to look like in terms of planning events and activities for this celebration, and also what the funding has looked like for the celebration?
That's a good question.
I mean,
I think
Mark,
one
if
of
you
the
want, me to answer, in terms of the funding, the funding has been very, as maybe you're not aware, we went through a very, difficult budget cycle. So, our funding is very minimal, and we actually kind of use some of our previous funding for different events and repurpose it to doing stuff for the 250th. So I can call you back and walk you through any of the like specific numbers that we have on it, but generally overall we are not spending anything above any sort of money now. In terms of our buses that we did this morning, the wraps on those, from what I understand, and I'll confirm this with DOT, I think those were actually an in-kind donation, or we got those wraps as part of the other wraps that our buses do, and the vendor, I believe, did that. But I will check with DOT about, any sort of funding that way. But generally, overall, we did not allocate a certain budget for this celebration.
also, if you want to get the information online on the whole string of events, it's montgomerycountymd.gov and then slash Montgomery County hyphen 250. And that will get you to a website where you can get the whole calendar of things that are happening. Does that help?
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions before we go?
Just a real quick,
Go ahead. Hi, Miss Jacoby. How are you
hello.
today?
Um, I just am working on a quick story about early voting. It starts tomorrow. Any general reminders for folks as they're getting ready to hit the polls?
I would say come early and vote often. Come early and vote once. And if you're filling in one of these mail-in ballots, uh, it's we're encouraging people rather than using the postal service to actually drop them off at the drop boxes, which are going to be at polling places, just to be sure, because we've had mail arrive pretty late sometimes, and that just delays all the counting. And with all the noise coming out of Washington, they'll think this is a grand sinister plot. So, to the extent that you're out and about and you want to stop by a polling place and just drop your ballot off, please feel free to do that.
Thank you.
Christina, your hand's back up.
Yes, just another question on another topic. Governor Westmore allocated some funds to invest in green energy. Montgomery County, is it within one of those counties who are going to be benefited by it? And how does it plan to, allocate those funds and, work with with the state?
I think this is something we can get back to you on because I haven't seen the breakdown of what the allocations are within the county. I know it's a sum of money for the whole state, but I don't have the county numbers or the county programs yet. But we can get Scott that information and get you an answer.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we go? I don't see any hands in the air, so I want to thank everyone for joining us. Mark, I'm glad you mentioned the World Cup, but I think this weekend I'm very excited to go down to the gander at the UFC fight in the White House lawn.
Seriously,
But you know what? Rich Madalino said that you were willing to fight the president. You willing to go into the octagon down there? I'd like to see this fight.
that would be entertaining.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Everyone have a wonderful week. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And Christina, I will definitely follow up with you and make sure that we get some more clarity on those answers. And Aaron, also about your questions about the 250th. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Bye.